So Sean O'Malley, as soon as he won his fight against Aljamain Sterling, obviously knocked him out in 2 rounds. Immediately he calls out a boxer, and the boxer that he calls out is Gervonta Davis. Now Gervonta Davis, as many of you know, is probably one of the most entertaining, exciting fighters in boxing. I mean, he's literally like a lightweight version of Mayweather combined with Mike Tyson. Like, he literally has a few of Mayweather's skills, but he also has the punching power of Tyson, and he's got that ferocity that Tyson used to have, that explosiveness. Kind of similar. I'm not saying he's exactly like Tyson, but there's similarities there, and this is who Sean O'Malley wants to fight. Now, Sean O'Malley is known as a striker, to be fair, but I've said this for the longest time. Literally, UFC fighters in general are just terrible at boxing. They just don't understand the nuance of the sport. Like, from the outside looking in, they probably think it's less sophisticated than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or kickboxing, as there seems to be less moving parts. You're only throwing punches, but when you look into it deeply, I mean, honest to God, I think boxing is one of the most nuanced sports ever. I mean, it looks easy from the outside looking in, but when you actually get in there, there's certain things that are just like, you don't see it from the outside looking in, but you learn it when you actually do it. And I think that's the same with boxing, but for some reason, like MMA fighters, they just don't see it. But a part of me thinks that they do see it, because these are mixed martial artists. These are fighters that they understand combat. They understand it, right? They definitely get it, right? So for them to constantly want to fight these boxers, the reason why it's happening is because I mean, let's just be real. They're not getting paid well enough in the UFC. Now, Sean O'Malley is a cash cow. Like, he's like a money fight in the UFC. So if Sean O'Malley's going out of his way to say that he wants to fight a boxer, Dana White must be really underpaying his talent, because Sean O'Malley is someone who's known to some extent a ticket seller. He's got the view of the, he's not like just some nobody UFC fighter that nobody knows. This is a guy that's got a bit of a following. So for him, as soon as he wins the title, for him to say that he wants to fight a boxer immediately, I mean, it raises eyebrows. I mean, it shows like how much the UFC brass must be underpaying their talent if he's thinking immediately he wants to get in there with a boxer. Because usually what happens is, you can see it with Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou at least made 1 or 2 defenses of his title. Like, he made 1 defense of his title, but he at least had a few UFC fights against top level opposition before he wanted to go in there with a boxer. But Sean O'Malley, like, he's beaten like 2 good fighters. Let's be real, Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling, and immediately he wants to go in there with a boxer. So that literally says a lot. It says that the UFC are just not paying their talent properly. That's the only explanation for this. But honest to God, I think it will do a lot of damage for Sean O'Malley if he does fight Gervonta Davis, because I think Gervonta Davis is not like a Mayweather. He's not going to pot shot and dance around the ring. This is a guy that's going to go in there and try to knock you out. That's his MO. That's what he likes to do. And him going in there with a UFC fighter, he is a bit cautious, Gervonta Davis, but I think he's going to throw caution to the wind, and he's just going to say, forget all that. I know this guy can't box. I'm just going to put it on him. And if Sean O'Malley gets knocked out in the first round, which could happen if he goes in there with someone like Gervonta Davis, who's got incredible punching power, it's just going to hurt his brand. So the purpose of this video is to say that Sean O'Malley needs to stay away from Gervonta Davis. It's too early for him to fight someone like that. Not only that, it's too dangerous, because Sean O'Malley's he doesn't have the sophistication or the skill or the punching power or anything. Even though he's a striker, he doesn't have anything that he can possibly do that can trouble Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis is pound for pound one of the best punchers in boxing. He's up there. He's definitely top 10, potentially top 5. Like, this guy's knocked out everyone. Like, he's knocked out good opponents as well. Like Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero. Like, he's knocked out good opposition. He's hurt them and bashed them up. So this guy can punch, and he hits really hard. Like, anyone that's fought him tells you that this guy hits ridiculously hard. Like, pound for pound, he's one of the hardest punchers in boxing. So the fact that Sean O'Malley wants to go in there, I think he's suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect. For those that don't know, basically, you think you know more than you do until you actually go in there and see it for real. And if he fights Gervonta Davis, he's going to have a rude awakening. I think he's going to get knocked out. It could happen in the first round, second round, or within the first 3 rounds. or it depends. If Gervonta Davis does a Mayweather and decides to carry him a bit, that could happen. But if he wanted to stop him in the first round, he can easily do that. So I think Sean O'Malley needs to stay away from Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis can inflict a world of hurt on him, but I don't think the UFC brass is going to let him fight him. To be honest with you, I mean their contracts are watertight. He's not going to get a fight with Gervonta Davis because I don't think that the UFC wants this paradigm shift to happen where every 5 minutes a UFC fighter is fighting a boxer, because it hurts their brand when the UFC fighter inevitably loses to a world class boxer. It just makes their fighters look weak. And obviously, the UFC wants to come across as this elite fighting brand. So if all of their fighters cross over to boxing and get bashed up, how does that make the UFC look? It doesn't make them look good, does it? So in my opinion, I don't think this is going to happen. But just for Sean O'Malley's neurological health, he needs to stay away from Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis can do some serious damage to the kid. So that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think below. Do you think Sean O'Malley has a chance against Gervonta Davis, or do you think I'm underrating him, or do you think Gervonta Davis would completely annihilate him the way I think he would? Tell me what you think below, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace.